So the next thing we're going to look at here is going to be, if I can get it right, function tables. And theoretically, this is supposed to be easier. Not sure. But essentially, you'll have a table that relates f, x, and g. So instead of actually having to, go f of, 0 and this kind of stuff, it'll just tell you, f of 0 is 5. And you won't know what the actual function is. It'll just tell you what the answer is. So you'll have a table that looks, something kind of like this. I'll have x at the top, and then f of x, and then g of x. Okay? And these numbers will usually have some kind of an order to them. So mine are going to go from -2 to 2. These numbers over here can be completely arbitrary. So 5, 0, -9, -4, -2, 2, 4, 9, 0, 5. Okay. So basically the way you want to read this is, say you're asked for f of, in fact, let me move this over so we can always kind of have this to look at. So say we're asked for f of 2. I'll do f of -2. Say I'm asked for f of -2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the f column. I'm going to go to the row where -2 is, and I'm going to see where they meet. They meet at 5. So that means f of -2 is 5. Okay? Clear all that out because it's messy. Okay, so f of -2 is 5. Now if I wanted to know what's g of -2, well, I'm going to do the same thing, except I'm going to look in the g column, and I'm going to look in the -2 row. I'm going to see where they meet, and they meet here at 2. So that means that g of -2 is 2. Okay? So let's give you a couple more. See if you can go find these. So figure out what f of 3 is. Figure out what f of 0 is. Figure out what f of 5, or g of 5, not 5, g of 2 is. So you can go get those. Okay. So f of 3, f column. You can't find f of 3. Oh, I didn't give it to you. Sorry about that. How about f of 1? Oops. F of 1. F of 1 is -4. F of 0, still in the f column, so the 0 row. They intersect at -9. So f of 0 is -9. G of 2, I'm going to look at the g column in the 2 row, and they intersect here at, so g of 2 is going to give you 5. Fun? Okay. What about having our nested functions, our composite functions? So what if I had g of, let's see, what about g of f of -1? G of f of -1. Okay. So again, we're going to focus on what's going on here on the inside. Work these from the inside out. And say, okay, well, what is f of -1? And look, you go, f of -1 is 0. So f of -1 is 0. So that means we're going to have g of, instead of f of -1, f of -1 is 0. So now we're going to look at g of 0. G of 0. And we're going to get g of 0 is 9. Fun? Kind of. A strange definition of fun. Well, let's try f of g of 1. So what's f of g of 1? Alright, so we're going to focus in then on g of 1. So focus in on g of 1, because we're going to work this from the inside out. G of 1 is going to be, g of 1 is 0. G of 1 is 0, so I replace G of 1 with 0. Now I'm going to look up f of 0, because that's my new problem. Now I want f of 0. F of 0 is negative 9. F of 0 is negative 9. So that's kind of neat. These are just, you know, different things that you can do, different solutions you can do. Let's try one more just to make sure we've got it. Let's try, try g of negative 2. Now this looks a little weird, right? Because I got two g's. Doesn't matter. I'm still going to start from the inside and work out. So on the inside, I've got g of negative 2. So g of negative 2. So g of negative 2 is the same thing as 2. G of negative 2 is 2. Now I want to look up g of 2. So I want to look up g of 2, and g of 2 is 5. G of 2 is 5. Neat? I bet you're fascinated. Alright. Now the last kind of problem that we can have, I'm going to leave this on the screen because I still want to be able to see my table. I'm just going to shrink it and move it. The last thing that we can get is we can say, have problems that say, you know, if g of x is 4, what is x? Okay, if g of x is 4, what is x? Alright, so to solve this kind of problem, you're going to look in the g of x column and say, okay, where's my 4? Here's my 4. So if g of x is 4, what is x? G of x is 4. X is going to be negative 1. Okay, you see how we got that? Let's do another one. So if f of x is 5, what is x? If f of x is 5, what is x? So if f of x is 5, what is x? X is negative 2. Absolutely. X is negative 2. And that's just about the worst thing that they can do to you, is this kind of stuff and this kind of stuff. And other than that, they're really not that terrible. Yay! Isn't that always a wonderful thing you want to hear? We'll go ahead and write that in here. Not that terrible.